The Flash!
I am the fastest man alive.
Meep, meep.
On cushions of air created by their super speed.
Meep, meep.
Super speed, the ability where one moves at speeds faster than the average person. In fiction, this can sometimes involve a character being able to run slightly faster, sometimes slowing time around them, while other times using this ability to break and manipulate reality. When this power is brought up in a conversation, one's mind typically jumps to the Flash, arguably the most iconic speedster in all of fiction, boasting some incredible feats with his abilities across the character's 80 years of history. However, people are less quick to consider another character who could easily give any Flash a run for their money. I am of course talking about the Looney Tunes' Roadrunner. In this video I will chart the history of both characters in an attempt to uncover who would win if the two were ever locked in a tense race to the death. The year is 1940. In comic stands all over the world, the superhero reigned supreme as the most popular genre of comic books. While the Man of Steel was showcasing some incredible feats of speed in the pages of Action Comics, it wouldn't be until Flash Comics #1 that readers would get their first peek at a speedster superhero. Young man Jay Garrick accidentally inhaled hard water vapours after taking a smoke break in a science lab. Yeah, this isn't exactly as iconic as some of the later comic origin stories. Jay would have many adventures during what is often called the Golden Age of comics, even joining the Justice Society of America aiding in the war effort. However, as World War II came to an end, readers began to lose interest in the superhero genre of comics, turning their attention to science fiction based stories, as the public interest began to shift in that direction with the birth of nuclear weapons, as well as the upcoming space race.
Meep, meep.
While Jay Garrick's fate was hanging in the balance in 1949, another speedster was just beginning his journey. At Warner Brothers, legendary animator Chuck Jones was looking to create a cartoon that mocked the chase formula of theatrical shorts, popularised by Tom and Jerry and Sylvester and Tweety, which had become so frequent and repetitive that it was starting to become stale. He decided to try and make this satirical short as unconventional as possible, setting it in a desert rather than the usual domestic setting, and assigning a coyote and Roadrunner as the respective hunter and prey. Jones wanted to make the Roadrunner seem less of a living being and more of a force of nature that the coyote simply cannot overcome. The two would debut in the iconic 1949 short The Fast and Furious, in which the basic dynamic of the two is set up. Wile E. Coyote attempts to catch the Roadrunner, utilising gadgets and tech from the Acme company which comically fail. This short was incredibly popular with audiences at the time, turning what Jones intended to be a one-off short into a recurring series. The two would continue getting shorts throughout the 1950s and 60s until animated theatrical shorts began to become less and less popular. However, their adventures would continue on TV, with the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show prominently featuring them.
Meep, meep. Roadrunner, meep, meep. The child is after you.
Much like with theatrical shorts, in 1956 things began to change in the world of comics. The implementation of the Comics Code Authority meant that many horror, romance and other genres that had featured more adult and controversial topics had to be cancelled, forcing DC to look back into their past to what had been successful for them before. This spawned the idea of bringing back superheroes by updating their origins for a new audience. This was evident in their first attempt in the pages of Showcase #4, introducing the new Flash as Barry Allen, a forensic scientist who is struck by lightning, causing him to be doused in chemicals which grant him the powers of super speed. This of course gave Barry's powers a base in science, complying with the audience's intrigue into science fiction at the time. Barry Allen would prove to be a massive success, igniting the start of the Silver Age of comics and having various adventures, fighting enemies such as Reverse Flash, Captain Cold and Mirror Master, and in The Flash number 123, Barry would even meet Jay Garrick's version of the Flash, establishing his world as Earth 2 in the DC multiverse. Across his adventures, Barry would take on a sidekick, the nephew of his wife Iris West, Wally West, who would become the Kid Flash.
Even you can't disarm one of my bombs in time. Shut up!
However, Barry's time would come to an end in the 1985 event Crisis on Infinite Earths, in which he sacrificed his life in order to destroy an antimatter cannon created by the Anti-Monitor. The panels depicting Barry as he runs faster, slowly deteriorating in front of the reader's eyes, has become extremely iconic. This would see Wally taking up the mantle of the Flash from his mentor Barry, becoming many people's favourite incarnation of the character, serving throughout the 90s and early 2000s before Barry was brought back to life. The time of Wally's tenure as the Scarlet Speedster saw a revitalisation of popularity for the character, with a live-action TV series and appearances in the DC animated universe saw the character return to mainstream consciousness. However, that wasn't the only franchise that returned in a big way at this time. The Looney Tunes characters were also brought back in an even bigger, more 90s way with the 1996 film Space Jam, which saw the Toons team up with Michael Jordan in order to win a basketball game against the evil Monstars, whose boss wants them to perform as slaves on their theme park planet. While having its goofy moments and not staying true to the Looney Tunes characters, to the point where Chuck Jones expressed his dislike for the film publicly, it is still entertaining and was extremely successful, bringing the Looney Tunes back into popular culture for a whole new generation.
Perhaps I could be of some assistance.
This spawned the less successful Looney Tunes back in action, as well as the even less successful Lunatics Unleashed among others, which saw a descendant of the Roadrunner who was a superhero with speedster powers, much like that of the Flash. However, the crossovers don't stop there. In 2000, DC Comics published the 4-issue miniseries Superman and Bugs Bunny. In the second issue of the series, the Flash actually encounters the Roadrunner and chases after him, although the involvement of the Coyote on one of his usual attempts to catch the bird disrupts what could have been the greatest race in history. Don't be disappointed though, as around the same time the animation channel Cartoon Network began to air various bumpers in between their programming, which featured characters from across different shows meeting in comedic scenarios. One of which saw the Flash and Roadrunner finally partake in this epic race, with Speedy Gonzales even taking part. The cartoon depicts the three as being relatively even matched, although the Roadrunner at one point overtakes the Scarlet Speedster. However, the bumper ends with the three running neck and neck, leaving the true victor a mystery. The Flash also made a brief appearance in the second Space Jam film, and the characters of the Looney Tunes were referenced in the 2023 Flash movie, although not in any physical role. Unlike with Batman and Mermaid Man or Popeye and Superman, who have connections yet have never actually shared the screen or page together, Flash and Roadrunner have less in common other than their abilities, yet have still physically crossed paths on both page and screen. This makes it all the more frustrating that the answer of who is faster between the two has never been revealed. This is likely due to the difficulty in answering such a question, with the two possessing insane levels of speed that can also depend on the story or situation they find themselves in. Now, within most of these crossovers between Flash and Roadrunner, it appears to be the Wally West version of the Flash. Wally West is often depicted as the fastest of all Flashes, at one time managing to outrun instantaneous teleportation, meaning that no time passed at all, among many other impressive feats, especially in more recent times since he's been brought back. However, the Roadrunner operates within cartoon logic, meaning that he is able to disobey the laws of physics and logic for the purposes of a gag.
Do you mean to tell me that you could have taken your hand out of that cuff at any time?
No, not at any time. Only when it was funny.
This makes determining the winner of the fight extremely hard, as how could the Roadrunner beat the insane speeds of the Flash, yet at the same time how could the Flash beat the unpredictable cartoon logic of the Roadrunner? While I see the race being extremely evenly matched, if I was forced to bet on a winner, it would have to be the Roadrunner, as logic and reason do not apply to him, meaning that he could beat the Flash, who is grounded in science. Although, if the Flash and Wile E. Coyote teamed up... Overall, both Roadrunner and Flash hold prominent positions within pop culture to this day, with the former still frequently appearing in new Looney Tunes cartoons and projects, and the latter having both a TV series and film released in 2023. The idea of being able to run at super speed appeals to everyone, which is probably why the two have remained so popular for almost 80 years, and most likely for decades to come as well. It is unlikely that we will ever see the two truly cross over again, although they are both owned by Warner Brothers, meaning that there is definitely potential that we one day may see the greatest race in history finally realised.